I'm bored. Let's read a book. Oh!
And the galleons, they just keep coming. We never fight unless we have the advantage, and we must kill 3 of them for every one of us they get. Having the hills and the mountains there helps, but just 2 8 days ago, some of them got as far as Scimitar. Shervin grinned. They didn't get the back. I watched as Gerlach drank from the trough, carved roughly from limestone, glancing back toward the north and the clouds that were again building over the little Easthorns. They didn't look natural, but who was I to say? Those clouds. And the only one that was a knife thrower. What knife thrower? You were asking about the clouds, sir? Later. What were you saying about a knife thrower? I have never seen such a knife thrower. Never. No, sir. The clouds, we do not used to have clouds such as those. What about the knife thrower? I interrupted. Not since the days of the great white wizards, they say. You were asking against the knife thrower. Yes, that was the best. The cowardly galleons, that was before they became the mad dogs they now are. They ran from the Black Horse, anywhere to escape the knives and the sword. Such a pair they were. Never had we seen such a pair. I was getting ready to strangle the cheerful Shervin, especially since Gerlach had finished drinking. Gerlach whinnied. I fished out the remaining grain cake from the right-hand saddlebag provided by Brettel. How did you do that? That food from your horse, you made it appear out of thin air. Never have I seen that. Not even the great white wizard could do that, I would bet. I sighed. I'd totally ignored the shield around the second set of saddlebags. That minor bit of order control that left them out of sight. Now Shervin would be telling the world about my marvelous food creation. No, I didn't make it. There's a hidden sack there, that's all. Hidden sacks? What will they think of next? When will we leave for Kyphrian? I asked desperately. Tendril has to get his horse, and you need to eat, and we need to put your horse with his hidden sacks in a shady place to rest while we eat. Then we will go. I didn't quite roll my eyes. Let's eat, and you can tell me about the marvelous pear and the knife thrower. Shervin, stop flapping your tongue and let the poor wizard have something to eat. The rest of us would like to talk to him too. Barbara stood on the raised step that led from a narrow archway in the back of the structure. Her figure was as ample as I had guessed, but her hair, unlike Shervin's short and coarse black strands, was nearly white blonde and shoulder length, swept away from her broad face with green combs set above each ear. Yes, you see why Barbara is the one who runs the store. She keeps her mind upon what is important. Shervin! The young man shrugged at me and smiled. I shrugged back. About my horse? Ah, yes, this way. The side of the structure that we had not yet been to was the stable, empty except for a single palomino. Inside the heavy walls and through the wide circular archway, the air was cool and still. You may use any of the stalls, but Pablo does not like all horses. I took the hint and put Gerlach in the stall farthest from Pablo. I did not unsaddle him, nor did I close the stall. If I had to leave quickly, I certainly wanted to be able to do so. It's about time, observed Barbara, as Shervin led me into a long dim room dominated by a large, polished red oak table. On each side was an equally long and backless red oak bench. At each place was a large and empty bowl with an equally proportioned spoon. At the table sat another youth, older than the boy who had greeted me. A girl with golden hair like Barbara's, but barely coming into womanhood. A woman easily 3 times my age sat in the middle of the side table opposite the door where I had entered. Her gray hair was worn in combs like Barbara's. Just like Barbara, she also wore 3/4-length trousers with wide legs, a loose shirt with sleeves that ended above the elbow. While the younger woman's garments were a dark green, the ancient's were a pale yellow. My boots clattered on the tile floor. "He doesn't sound like a wizard," complained the old woman.
Grandmere, he doesn't. I saw him pull a cake for his horse out of thin air," announced Shervin.
"You're calling that pony a horse?"
"He's cute," added the boy who had first greeted me.
"I wish I could have a little horse like that." "It's time to eat. It's past time to eat. So sit down. No, not there. You give the wizard the chair." Shervin bowed and gestured to the chair that at the head of the table. I supposed I should have refused and offered it back to him, but the confusion of the conversation was disorienting. I sat. The place on my right was empty, and the blonde girl was sitting on my left. The room was suddenly silent. I swallowed, and it seemed like an eternity before I realized, silently thanking Magistra Tirana as I did, that Kyphris belonged to the one God believers. I swallowed again, and everyone looked at me. "In all times," I began slowly, and as I began I could see the tension on the others' faces ease. "In all times there has been disorder. It is the job of right-thinking people to bring order from chaos. May we have the will to bring that order. May we have the strength to resist evil and do good." I bowed my head since I had no way to end the prayer, not that I could voice. "Peace under God," added Shervin. "Very nice. It was strange, but nice," said one of the other soldiers. "He sounds like a wizard," added the old woman who had just said it didn't sound like one. "Where's the food?" I'm getting it." An aroma of spices and meats entered the long room even before Barbara arrived with the tray, bearing a huge casserole which she set in front of the older woman before heading back to the kitchen. One saving grace was that I wouldn't need the knife that I didn't have. I fingered the empty sheath, wondering if I had really wanted to carry the knife at all. But that was silly. At least, I thought it was silly. But I still wondered. "Spiced lamb chili, my favorite," he remembered. The second tray held 2 enormous, freshly baked loaves of bread, and that was followed by a pitcher of something and a tray of battered mugs. With that, Barbara plopped herself onto the end of the bench next to me and looked at me, face to face. Her breath was like cloves, strong but not unpleasant. "Do you have a woman, wizard?" "I don't think so, Barbara." "Well, do you or don't you? Pass the chili! Just take a chunk of bread and send the loaf to the wizard." "My name is Laris, and I was going to say that I wasn't a wizard, but the words stuck in my throat. That scared me. The thought that I was even partly maybe a wizard. "He says his name is Laris. It's better than him calling him wizard." "He's too young to be called wizard, even if he is one." "I want the chili!" I looked frantically at Shervin, but he just grinned and plunged his spoon into a bowl of chili, whatever that was. In his other hand he held a large chunk of bread. "About your woman. Is she young? I bet she's thin and harsh-tongued. She'd probably starve you to keep her looks, just like a northern woman." As she talked, Barbara ladled her bowl full of the spicy mixture from the casserole and began to fill my bowl. "Here, you need some tikla." Those words came from the other side, from the blonde girl who would look like a younger and thinner version of Barbara. My eyes darted from one to another. At that point, the bread tray was thrust under my nose, and I broke off a large chunk. "Barbara, you can't have a woman. I'll bet he doesn't even have a sister, do you?" "No," I admitted, taking a spoonful of the spicy mixture and swallowing it. Oof. I swallowed again and grabbed for the mug. Hot? Spicy? Neither one was an adequate description of the chili. It didn't burn. It seared my throat all the way down. Not the tikla, silly. You eat the bread. That's the way to do it, advised the girl, her tone patient and condescending simultaneously. Since the tikla, with its unknown fruity taste, hadn't eased the fire in my throat and stomach, I chewed off a large corner of the chunk of bread, swallowing as even and as quickly as I could. With the back of my hand, I wiped the sudden tears from my eyes, but the burning had in fact diminished. The post rider said the man had lost one of their wizards. Halen's cousin said a wizard freed him. Ha! He didn't want to admit he got careless, that's all. Some more chili, please. When are you going to take me to Kyphrey and Shervin? You promised. Amid the friendly chaos, I took another spoonful of the chili, the stew, whatever it was, a much smaller spoonful, accompanied by a much larger mouthful of the heavy bread. The combination seemed to work, only my forehead broke out in sweat this time. You never answered about your woman Laris. I took a small sip from the mug. Right now, I don't have one. It's not wise. I told you, Barbara. He doesn't look like he knows women. In that, certainly the girl was right. Hush, Curla. Not wise. Is it wise to be tempted by every pretty face? I have a lot. I struggled with both her question and another spoonful of chili. She shook her head. You men, you think that women are fragile, that only men can do the great deeds. I never said that. It's not what you said, but what you thought. Would you rather live in Kyphros under the Autarch, or under a madman like the prefect of Gallus? Great deeds. Pfft. Dreaming of the great deeds only leads to great evils, and too many men dream of great deeds. Give me a solid man any day, one who lives in Arkord.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on any of my videos. See y'all in the next one. Goodbye!